We're learning more about a mother found buried in the Arizona desert. Police say that she was killed while out on a first date.
July 5th. Arianna Jones got dressed, did her hair, and left her apartment for what she thought was going to be a first date. A movie, some popcorn, maybe a little chemistry. Girl. She had no idea she was walking into the last night of her life. By July 13th, her name was on the news. Not for the life she was building, not for her son, but because somebody made a decision to take everything from her and then tried to bury it in the desert. Literally. This is the story of Arianna Jones. Stick around, because this one is deep. Let's talk about who Arianna really was, because she was so much more than a headline. She was adopted when she was just 3 years old, bounced around from house to house for years. Now that's already a hard start for anybody. But at 18, Arianna found her way back to her biological mother, Sofia Sardinas, and the two of them reconnected. Moving on. By 21, Arianna had a 2-year-old son. She was a stylist, working on her craft, with real dreams of opening her own business one day. Her mother said it best. Arianna was determined, and had been since she was a little girl. She didn't just want a career. She wanted a family, a stable one. Something she didn't always have growing up. That was the whole goal. So what? People online do this all the time. Somebody meets somebody on social media. They talk for a few weeks, phone calls here and there. Nothing too deep. That's exactly what happened here. Arianna and a man named Domonic Rodolico connected online. 24 years old. They talked, kept it light, kept it brief. And after a few weeks of back and forth, they agreed to finally meet up. In person. For the first time. July 5th was going to be that day. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because before Arianna ever got in that man's car, before she ever put on her outfit for their first date, Domonic Rodolico had already been out to a remote stretch of desert near Lake Pleasant Parkway and West Old Carefree Highway. Let that sit for a second. Cell phone data would later show he made that trip out to that isolated area not once, not twice. 3 separate times that day. 3 trips to a place with no stores, no houses, no reason for anybody to be out there. And he made those trips before he ever picked Arianna up for their date. I said what I said. That is not a coincidence. That is not just checking out a spot. When somebody scouts an isolated location multiple times before a date with someone they just met, that tells you something was already decided. The date hadn't even started yet. A friend of Arianna's told police she mentioned meeting up with an acquaintance for a movie that day. Simple plans. Normal plans. The kind of plans a young mother makes when she's just trying to live a little, get out the house, have a nice evening. Investigators later pulled surveillance footage, vehicle records, and cell phone location data. And what that data showed was Rodolico picking Arianna up from her apartment near 59th and Northern Avenue in Glendale. From there, the two of them were tracked to a movie theater in North Phoenix. A movie. That's it. That's all this was supposed to be. But hey, cell phone signals don't lie. And Arianna's phone would transmit its very last signal in the early morning hours of July 6th, near Lake Pleasant, the same place Rodolico had already visited 3 times. Anyways, that's where we're going to pick this up in the next part, because what happened next is when a mother's instincts kicked in, and when this case started to unravel in ways nobody saw coming. July 7th, 2 days after that date. Sofia Sardinas hadn't heard a word from her daughter. No calls, no texts. And for Arianna, that was strange, because she made it a point to video call her son every single day. He was staying with relatives while she got herself established. So when those calls stopped coming, something felt off. Let me tell you something about a mother's instincts. They don't need proof. They just know. Sofia said it herself. She felt this heavy feeling. She didn't know how to explain it. She just felt like something was wrong with her baby. So she went to Arianna's apartment near 59th and Northern. And what she found there confirmed every fear she had. The front door was damaged, broken into. Inside, a cell phone, shattered. Arianna's wallet was nowhere to be found. And in the middle of all this, her dog was locked inside a kennel. No food, no water, just left there. Family reported Arianna missing that same day, July 7th. Now here's what makes this even harder. Sophia believes her daughter fought. She said it plainly. She knows her daughter, and Arianna would not have let somebody do that to her without fighting back to get to her son. That boy was her reason for everything. Detectives moved fast. They pulled surveillance video, vehicle alert records, and cell phone location data, piecing together exactly where Arianna went on July 5th and who she went there with. That's how they identified Domonic Rodolico as the man who picked her up. That's how they traced the two of them from her apartment to the movie theater in North Phoenix, and then out to that remote area near Lake Pleasant. And remember those 3 trips Rodolico made out to that isolated stretch of desert before he ever picked Arianna up? Investigators flagged that immediately. There was no legitimate reason for anybody to be out there that many times. Not for work, not for anything normal. On July 11th, 4 days after Arianna was reported missing, investigators found decomposing human remains in a shallow grave in that same desert area. Along with the remains, they recovered movie theater cups and clothing nearby, physical evidence connecting straight back to that first date. Investigators also started watching Rodolico's behavior, and what they saw raised even more red flags. He was seen cleaning out the rear portion of his own vehicle. On top of that, he had a bandaged injury on his arm or hand that he couldn't fully explain away. When detectives brought him in for questioning, Rodolico told them a story. He claimed that he and Arianna had been approached by a group of unidentified men out there. He said those men attacked them, stabbed Arianna, and that he managed to escape. Period. That story did not hold up. Investigators said his account kept changing every time he told it. He couldn't provide consistent details. He couldn't explain the timeline. He couldn't explain the multiple trips he made out there before the date even happened. On July 13th, police confirmed what the family had been dreading. The remains found in that shallow grave belonged to Arianna Jones. Domonic Rodolico was arrested on July 11th and charged with first-degree murder. He's currently being held on a $2 million cash bond. As of now, Arianna's official cause of death has not been released. The motive behind all of this is still under investigation. But hey, based on the timeline alone, based on those 3 trips out to an isolated location before he ever laid eyes on her in person, this is a case investigators believe was planned from the very beginning. Anyways, in the next and final part, we're going to talk about what happens next in the courtroom and what Arianna's family wants the world to remember about her. Because to them, she was never just a case number.
Glendale police arrested a man they say killed a young woman and buried her in the desert. Arianna Jones was reported missing last Tuesday after her mother hadn't heard from her in a couple days. She was last seen going to the movies with this man, 23-year-old Domonic Rodolico. On Saturday, her remains were found in a shallow grave near Lake Pleasant. Rodolico is now charged with first-degree murder. He's being held on a $2 million bond. And tonight we are hearing from Arianna's mother, who again reported her missing.
She spent all of last week searching for her daughter and told our Molly McBride this is not the ending that she had imagined.
Her mother says her daughter was so much more than a headline. She doesn't want her to be defined by what happened to her, and instead by who she was.
It's not fair. It's not fair at all to her, to me, to her son, to her brothers and her sisters. It's not fair to anybody, to her friends. It's not fair. She was 21 years old. 21, like she had her own.
Arianna Jones's mother, Sofia Sardinas, overcome with grief.
And I'm so sorry that this happened to her. because this was not supposed to happen to her.
She wanted to tell everybody about Arianna, that she loved being a mom to her 2-year-old son.
She needed to come home to her son. She needed to come back to her baby and me.
And that she hadn't had the easiest childhood. She says Arianna was adopted when she was 3 and bounced around from house to house. The two were reunited when Arianna was 18, and she had big plans for her future.
She wanted to have a family. That's all she wanted. And for this guy to take her life from her like that?
Sophia reported Arianna missing July 7th. She says she stopped responding to her calls or texts. When she went to her daughter's apartment to check it out, her fears were confirmed.
I felt this heavy feeling, like I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like something happened, something was wrong with my baby.
Sophia spent the week searching, handing out flyers and holding onto hope, until she got the horrific news that Arianna wasn't coming home.
She just wanted to, go out to the movies. She just wanted to watch a movie.
When her daughter disappeared, Sophia was watching her young son. She believes Arianna fought hard to get back to him.
I know my daughter, and she would not just let somebody do that to her and not fight back to get to her son.
Sophia says she would trade places with her daughter in an instant.
I would die for her. I don't care. She deserves to be here more than me.
Police haven't released a motive or explained what led up to Arianna's murder. The family created a GoFundMe to help with her memorial expenses. If you can help, you can find that link under this web story at azfamily.com.
Domonic Rodolico is currently sitting in custody, charged with 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder. His bond is set at $2 million, cash only. No bail bondsman getting him out of this one. Sofia Sardinas has already made it clear. She plans on being at every single court appearance, every hearing, every step of this process. She wants to be there for her daughter because Arianna can't be there for herself anymore. As this case moves through the courts, one thing investigators keep coming back to is the timeline. 3 trips out to that isolated stretch of desert before Rodolico ever picked Arianna up for their date. A story about unidentified attackers that fell apart every time he told it. And physical evidence, movie theater cups, clothing, found right there next to where her body was buried. The court will decide what happens to him. That's not up to us to determine here. What we do know is a young woman went out for what should have been a simple first date, and she never made it back home. Sophia doesn't want her daughter remembered as a headline. She wants people to know who Arianna actually was. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl, and she had a beautiful soul, Sophia said. That's the Arianna her family knew, not the woman in a news report, not a case file, a daughter, a mother, somebody who was still building her life, still chasing her dream of owning her own business, still showing up every day for her 2-year-old son. Now that little boy is growing up without her. Sophia says she can already see it in his face sometimes. That sadness, when he misses his mom. And she's made a promise to him. She's going to make sure he never forgets how much his mother loved him. She didn't deserve to be put in a grave. My baby didn't deserve any of that, Sophia said. And honestly, that's the part that sits with you the longest. A 21-year-old girl who just wanted a family, who fought to reconnect with her mother after years apart, who was finally building something real for herself and her son. Gone. Over what should have been nothing more than a movie and a first date. It is not fair. It is not at all fair to her, me, her son, her brothers and her sisters. It's not fair to anybody. She was 21 years old, Sophia said. 21. Let that number sit with you for a second. Arianna Jones didn't get the chance to watch her son grow up. She didn't get the business she was working toward. She didn't get the family she spent her whole life chasing. What she got instead was a man who allegedly planned her death before he ever said a word to her in person. This case is still active. The motive, her official cause of death, those details are still under investigation. But what's not up for debate is who Arianna was to the people who loved her. a daughter, a mother, a girl with a beautiful soul, taken from a family that will never stop fighting to say her name. Rest easy, Arianna.